Sonic just cannot seem to find his mojo. Ever since Sega discontinued production of their consoles, the Sonic team can't figure out what to do with him. The fact that Sonic's legacy is being carried by the fans and the recent movies should tell you enough about the state of the franchise. And that's sad because once upon a time, Sonic was pushing the boundary of what gaming could do. But with their latest open world adventure, is this the title that will flip the fates and allow Sonic to reclaim his seat next to Mario as gaming's greatest? Nope! With linear games, it's very easy to hide progression of difficulty, as the further you progress, the harder it gets. Open world games require a great deal of care when doing this, as it is very easy for newer players to encounter more difficult foes. Most games do this by carefully signposting where you should go through more difficult terrain to traverse. Take Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for instance. Nothing is told to you, but it's relatively easy to figure out where to go based on the path you took and your current level. Sonic Frontiers is not this way. At first it's implied where you should go once the world is open to you, but after that, you're on your own. Now, I like it when these games give you freedom to tackle whatever challenges you want, but when you have easy challenges intermixed with far more difficult challenges with no discernible barrier per se, you can easily get frustrated. Especially when the game seemingly wants you to take these on, which is just how the bosses are. I've never seen a game where the boss difficulty has been artificially spiked as much as Sonic Frontiers. Before you figure out where to level up, which is another stupid mechanic by the way, you are facing a boss twice your strength. And the game seemingly wants you to rematch. And if you're OCD like me, you have to beat that boss no matter what. Much to the chagrin of my own ego, I had to pull out of several fights. Now, I understand having difficult boss battles. I played and finished Metroid Dread and I loved it. The difference here, Dread is tough but fair. Here, it just feels like poor game design. Besides, this is a Sonic game, not a Metroidvania or Soulsborne game. Now, all of this pain would be greatly eased if the mechanics were polished, but it's not. In the overworld, everything works fine. It's when you get to the high-speed sections where the game physics fall apart. Now, Sonic games have always been known for their superior game physics and momentum-based gameplay, particularly against his rival Mario. But I can tell you that Super Mario Odyssey has a far superior physics engine than Frontiers has. And that is pathetic. Sure, you can string together moves to create awesome combos, but it don't take long before everything falls apart and your opponent gets a cheap shot on ya. That's another reason these boss battles fall apart for me so easily. Oftentimes, the tracking system would just give up, and the game didn't know how to respond. So more often than not, I'd have to reset and do it again. Problem is, with most of these opponents being these colossus-sized beings, you have to climb some kind of limb in order to reach the weak spot. But when you actually climb them, the physics becomes goop and you lose your footing. Too often this happened, by the way. And since when is Sonic a more action-based platformer? Sure, there's high speed and rail sections everywhere, but they feel optional compared to the more combative missions. It seems as if the Sonic team missed the point here. Take these cyberspace missions, for example. These should have easily been the best sections of the game, and there's certainly potential, but things quickly fall apart, especially if you hit the wrong button at the wrong time. And it's especially a shame when most of these levels are based on classic Sonic levels. Now, I usually don't talk about tertiary elements like level progressions and even map design, but I have to talk about it here. Every progression-based RPG since the beginning of time has used an on-the-fly experience that I should not need to explain. And there's a very good reason for this. It works! But for some reason, the devs decided they are beyond this system and instead implemented a monetary progression in which you trade these seeds for levels. Why is this a thing? As far as I can tell, there's no reason they couldn't have put a traditional leveling system here. And because it's not communicated to you where these are, it becomes a huge problem, particularly against the bosses. Literally, these assholes are located in the middle of nowhere. And it would be simple if the map system worked the way it should. I can understand if you want to hide things on the map fog of war style, as it's a good way to guide your progression. If anyone here is familiar with real-time strategy war games, you know that when you move, you would uncover that bit of the map. For some reason, they decided they don't want to do that. Instead, when you complete a challenge, it uncovers a few blocks that are not relevant to progression as far as I can tell. It makes no sense and is only here to confound the players. At this point, I am far too annoyed to even talk about the plot or characters too much, so I'll keep it brief for you guys. The whole beginning segment, it's hard to tell what's even going on. All I can tell is Eggman is up to something nefarious and Sonic and friends get sucked into a wormhole. That's it. You don't know what's going on or why you're here. You're just instructed to play, just like the meme. I can get along with that if the game embraces it. But this game wants to go in a more narrative-driven approach. I can tell that. Yet it won't put in the work in the beginning where it's most important. This isn't how story works, Sega! In terms of characters, Sonic is impatient, Amy is caring, and Tails is Tails. Not much to say outside of that, except they are unimpressive. And that's the story of Sonic Frontiers. Most of everything here is unimpressive. The game doesn't feel like it's trying to be more than the sum of its parts. In fact, it's trying to be the opposite. The once superior momentum-based gameplay has been traded for a subpar action platformer with underwhelming speedrunning sections. And whatever changes they put in made absolute zero sense. It's as if Team Sonic doesn't know what to do with the blue blur. They just look at what the rest of the industry does and follow suit. And that's my review of Sonic Frontiers, guys. I'm gonna need a palate cleanser after this. And what better palate cleanser than to go balls deep into Shantae? Wait, what? Anyway, if you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe. I'd like to hear what you guys thought of the game. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.